Hi there, Katie from Pilates Physio Cork here with your postnatal exercise class for what would have been week 6 of the block we were doing together. Hope you're all keeping well. Well done for making some space in your life for some exercise. It's so important right now that we keep moving, keep active, keep strong. So I hope you enjoy this class I have for you now. You can start it with Jo's 10-minute warm-up that she has posted on our YouTube channel. And if you finish it with her 10-minute cool down as well, that will complete your workout. So just remember, all through, as we always say, make sure that you are pain-free and able to breathe with all of the exercises. So if that's not the case, you need to modify it. I'll give you some suggestions for modifications as we go. But if that's not working for you and you're still having some discomfort, some symptoms, or you're finding that you're holding your breath, then you need to change something or move on to the next exercise. That's fine too. So hope you enjoy it, and let's get going. Okay, so we're going to start off in standing. If you stand with your feet hip distance apart, just take a moment to make sure you've relaxed everywhere. You're not holding any tension around your head, neck and shoulders, through the abdominals, around the buttocks or the pelvic floor, relaxing the muscles around the thighs, and relaxing the feet into the floor. And then just check in with your breath. And let's think about that expansion. We want all the way around the rib cage. So as you breathe in, you want to feel your ribs moving up and out to the back and the front and to the sides. And as you breathe out, they sink back down and in. So just take a second to notice the quality of your breath and check that you've got that nice relaxed quality going. Lovely. So now, keeping that relaxed breath, I want you to visualize you've got that helium balloon drawing you up towards the ceiling, so you're getting long through your spine. And then we're going to hold a peach between our chin and the chest to help us get length through the back of the neck. Shoulder blades are sliding slightly back and slightly down towards the opposite back pockets. And then we'll think about those ribs softening down towards the abdominals. So just making sure you're not overcorrecting with those shoulders drawing back like this, but keeping those ribs soft. And that's a good time just to check as well that you're stacking your shoulders kind of over your hips, hips over the ankles. So all three of those joints are in line. So you're avoiding this kind of pregnancy posture continuing where your shoulders are coming way back. So if you're getting any backache, remember sometimes that can be what's going on. So just checking that you're nicely stacked and see, does that change any symptoms? So now, keeping that upper body position, I want you to tilt the pelvis forward and back. I'll go sideways so you can see again. And just try and get as much mobility as you can through the pelvis. And if you try and think about an elastic pulling from the pubic bone up towards the tummy button, so that's what's drawing your pelvis, tucking your tailbone under, and get that nice stretch through the lower back as you work that movement. Great. And then we're going to find the midpoint where you're not tucked forwards, you're not tucked back, you're not tucked forwards, but just nicely neutral in the middle. So just a nice relaxed position there. Think of softening through the knees, and then just check, is your weight evenly spread through the feet? So you're not resting back on your heels or your toes, it's equal. And the same right to left, is your weight equal through both feet? Then just check back with that breath. We've got a lot of things to think about there, and it's really common that you start to hold your breath, start to tighten up around here when you're concentrating. So let's check back with the breath again. Can you keep that nice relaxed quality? Lovely. And then we're going to bend the elbows, palms facing the ceiling, and keeping our neutral position. All we're going to do is bring the hands out to the side, so the forearms are traveling parallel to the floor. And I'm just thinking about keeping my shoulder blades down into my back pockets, my ribs nice and soft. So as I'm moving the arms in and out, I want to avoid kind of over extending. Can I keep that nice, neutral, soft position as my arms are coming in and out? This is just about increasing our awareness of that upper body position and control of it as we're keeping moving. So it's not that it's wrong to ever come out of that so-called neutral position. We need to be in all different positions for daily function, that's fine, but we want to be a little bit aware of where we are and be able to control it. Now we're going to extend that position a little bit, so stretching out the arms and then bending the elbows, coming back in. So this is called a Cleopatra. Just if you're checking out the movements online on our website. And as you do this, if you feel any tingling or numbness down the arms, just keep the elbows a little bit bent. You may feel quite a big stretch as you come out here, especially if you're quite tight across the chest, and that's fine. But if you get tingling or numbness, then just don't extend quite so far. Lovely, and keeping the breath nice and relaxed the whole time. We'll do one more after this one. Really great. And then relaxing the arms down. So we're going to take a single leg stance now. You're just lifting up the left heel and think about sinking into your hip and then growing up out of it. So just do that a couple of times, sinking into the hip, growing up out of it. My knee is not bending, it's staying straight. I'm just sinking into the hip and growing up out of it, kind of like we often do standing in a queue or standing waiting, sink into the hip. Just want you to get that movement going. And when you feel like you've got that, come to this sort of growing up out of your hip position. So now we're going to float this leg up into a single tabletop position. That just means your knee is bent to about 90 degrees and your hip the same. And keep on thinking about growing up out of that hip. So we don't want to start sinking into the hip. We want to grow up out of it because that's really going to engage your glutes as we're standing on one leg. Check back with your breath now. Check you're still nice and relaxed. And think about the shoulders stacking over the hips, over the ankles. Maybe that cue of the helium balloon will help you to keep growing nice and tall. We're going to bring the arms out in front. Take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, float the arms up, just keeping the ribs soft and the shoulder blades down. Breathe in as you float them round and back to the start. So breathe out as you float up. Breathe in as you float round. And we're just going to go for 8 of these. Same as with the first exercise, your aim is just to keep neutral through your ribs and your shoulder blades. Keep thinking of them melting down towards your waist. And keep growing up out of that hip. You might notice as you tire, you're going to tend to sink down like this. I want you to keep thinking about growing up out of it. Can you feel it starting to burn a little bit in the glutes? That's fine. If you're getting any pelvic girdle pain, then you can just bring the toe down. So you're resting the toe on the floor, you're not taking all the weight, but you can keep thinking about growing up out of your hip all the same. So make sure you're not working with symptoms. Let's switch over to the other side now. So we're going to lift the heel. Just try a couple of those, lifting and bending. Sorry, lifting and sinking into the hip. And then when you've got the feel for that, finish in that growing up out of your hip position. Float the leg up into single tabletop. Let's check the relaxed breath. And then when you're ready, bring your arms out in front, ribs soft, shoulders down, float the arms up as you breathe out, and round as you breathe in. So breathe out, and breathe in. And our breathing is helping us here, because as we breathe out, that helps us to keep the ribs softened down towards the waist. So that's why I'm cueing you to breathe at that point. And keep on thinking about growing up out of your standing hip. Remember, you can keep your toe on the floor if you're getting any pain in the pelvic girdles. Burning in the glutes, that's fine. That's what we're going for. We're trying to get strong there. But nothing around here or the back or any of your symptoms. And one more. And if you're feeling a little bit wobbly, that's fine. But this is what we're aiming for, is to test the balance and come back down. So if you're feeling like you're wobbling around, that's okay. Just keep on thinking about growing up out of the hip, stacking the shoulders over the hips. And if you're feeling very wobbly or you're not quite safe, just keep your foot near the floor or even just your toe touching and see, can you slightly bring the toe up. So we're going to go to the first side again, lifting the heel, growing up out of that hip. Float your leg up and your arms out in front. This time we're going to extend the leg and come round. So as your arms go up, the leg extends out, and then everything back to the start. Keep growing up out of your hip the whole time. If you're working with your foot on the floor, you can slide it out and then come back in. Slide it out and come back in. And if that doesn't feel okay, just work the same exercise we did in the last set. So just keeping the toe on the floor, Working the arms, keep growing up out of your hip. Good. And one more time. And in, and let's lower back down. And then we'll do the second side. So lifting the heel, growing up out of your hip. Float the leg up. Think of your helium balloon, stacking the shoulders over the hips. Arms out in front and extend as you breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. And remember, you can slide on the floor. So just carry on at the level that's right for you today. And remember, that can change. Maybe you've been less active than you were a few weeks ago, and you're not able to do what you were doing when we were together in the class. That's okay. Work with the level that you're at now. So just symptom-free and able to breathe. And two more. Last one. Keep growing up out of that hip. So easy to start to sink into it when you tire. Lovely. So now we're going to do one more time each side in single leg stance, but this time we're going to add in the arm opening exercise. So just find your neutral position again to start. Lift the heel, growing up out of that hip. Float your leg up. Find the balance. Check the breathing. And then we'll bring the arms out in front. And we're just going to open one arm out to the side. So I want my hips to stay facing the front. My upper body is rotating to the side, and I'm looking at my hand as I go, and then back to the front again. So just think hips facing the front, shoulders are rotating. And remember, as with the last exercise, you can keep your toe on the floor if you have any symptoms, or you're just finding it a bit too difficult to balance. Try to use the least pressure that you need. If you're finding, yeah, I can balance like this, but if I try to rotate, that's just too much, then you don't have to go so far. Just go within the range that you can control, that you can manage. It could be that you're just turning your head back to the start, if you want to really work on your balance, or if you want to focus on the thoracic rotation, then keep your toe on the floor for some more stability and get that rotation through the upper body. So can you see my hips are facing the front, my shoulders are coming to the side. So if I go sideways, you'll see my shoulders are turning. So you're feeling that lovely rotation in the upper back here. Really great. And then let's get the other side. So come back to your start position. Going to lift the heel, grow up out of your hip, float the leg up. So we're still getting some strengthening work going on here. When you find your balance, if you're working with the leg up, then we're going to bring the arms here, rotate to the side, and back to the start. And you might want to start in a small range just as you find your balance there and your stability. And then as you get a bit more confident, you can bring a little bit more rotation in. Or as I said on the other side, if you want to really just focus on that thoracic stability, mobility, if you're feeling really stiff and tight up here, then keep the toe on the floor. Just use the least pressure you can through your toes. So you're still challenging the balance, getting the glutes working, and you can really focus on getting that lovely rotation through the upper back. So just work at the level that's right for you. That's always the most important thing to remember the whole time. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You just need to do what's right for you. And last one. Great, and back to the start. So now I'm going to do some stick exercises, but I don't have one of our nice wooden sticks, so I'm using my mop. You can use anything like a brush or a mop or a garden cane perhaps. It can be a little slippy on a normal floor, so I'm using the sponge part of my mop on the floor. If you are using something that's more like a stick, then it might be better to work with it on a mat or a rug, just so it doesn't slide away from you. So we're going to bring the stick out in front. Feet are maybe a little bit wider than hip distance, and you can turn the toes in towards each other if that feels okay. And we're just going to send the stick forward, send your hips back, and then we're going to reach up to the ceiling, turn to look at your hand, and then arm between your other arm and the floor. So we're working a thread the needle but with the stick. So hand up to the ceiling, looking at your hand, feel that rotation through the upper back, maybe all the way down the arm, and then to the side. So just to show you that from the side, if it's clearer, you're going to come up to the ceiling, rotating, and then sliding under, again trying to rotate as much as you can. And if you're feeling a lot of stress and tension at the minute, which I think lots of us are, then this will really feel great through the upper back, just getting that moving, stretching all of those shoulder and back muscles. Great, and then let's work the other side. So feet are still in the same position, sending the stick forward. So we're going to reach up with the other hand to the ceiling, look at your hand, try to keep this arm on the stick relatively straight, maybe soft through the elbow, but you're going to get more of a stretch down the arm and down the back if it's nice and long. And just keep that nice relaxed breath, keep it flowing. You can take a pause in this position and just take a few breath cycles here if that feels good. And the same in this end position here. If you find a spot you think, oh yeah, that is really where I'm feeling tight, that's where I need to stretch, then just stay there and enjoy that position. And let's do one more repetition. Up and down. Great. Lovely. So now we're going to come into a single leg deadlift. If you have a stick, then you can put it on your foot, holding it in the same hand as your stick, so right hand and on the right foot. If you don't have a stick or anything like that, that's okay, you can do it without. It just helps you kind of be aware of where your hand and foot are and how they're moving together. So find your neutral position to start and find that relaxed breath. And then what we want to do is move the hand and foot together. So my body's coming down as the foot is going up. And then the same thing on the way back down. And like you can see you might find that you're a little bit wobbly, that's okay. We want to be testing the balance, challenging that balance. Keeping breathing. What you want to avoid is the leg only going up a little bit and then just the body moving, or the opposite where the leg is going up and the body's not going anywhere. So we want to get that hinging in this hip here and then coming back down again. And you're going to be feeling it on that standing leg, that standing glute. Try not to lock the standing knee if you can. Just keep a little bit of softness through the knee. And if you can think about length through the spine, so I'm still thinking of holding my peach, just keeping a nice straight line. And back up. Great. Let's work the other side. So space is a little bit of an issue for me here. I'm sure it's the same for you. Just see, can you move around? Check there's nothing behind you that you're going to kick. My pot plant is in a little bit of danger here, but I think we're all right. And just keeping breathing. So if you can, check that your hips are straight. So there's quite a temptation just to twist the hips as your leg is going up. But because we're hinging from the hip here, you really don't need to. We're not challenging the mobility in that way. Having said that, you don't have to get the leg out all the way so the back and leg are flat like a capital T. You can just move in a small range. So this much is fine. If that is what you feel like you can control and make sure that you're symptom free. You don't need to go through that whole range. We're still getting that hinging. What you want to focus on is nice controlled movement. That we're hinging from the hip here as you're bending forward, the leg and the body moving together, and then control as you come back up again. So that is more important than what range you're working through. But if you can keep going and keep controlling it, then that's good. Work through that range as well. One more time. And back up. Really good. So hopefully you're feeling that burning a little bit in the glutes there, and that's great. We're getting stronger through there. Well done. So now we're going to work some squats and some lunges, and you can do these either just with body weight, or if you have some weights at home that feel like they're an appropriate weight for you right now, that you're still able to be symptom free and able to breathe as you use them, then you can add them in. If you don't have any kind of specifically made for being weights type things, then you can use something from around the house. So tins of beans are a nice kind of small start, or a bag with a few items in it, or anything else that you can find that just feels like that's the right weight to add a little bit of challenge, a little bit of resistance, but without causing any symptoms. So work with whatever you have and with whatever feels right, but if you don't have anything, that's just fine. Body weight is going to work too. So if you are using weights, you're just going to hold them in your hands, either side of your legs. Feet are just about hip distance apart. Find that nice neutral position. Find that relaxed breath. And then we're going to take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're just going to bend the knees, send the hips back, like you're sitting into a chair behind you, and then push through the heels, come on back up again. So bending the knees, sitting into the chair, and back up. So from the side, you can see my bum is going back, I'm sitting into the chair, and then straighten back up again. So bending down and sitting up. If you prefer, you can hold the weights up to your chest, if that feels better. And I don't really mind what you're doing with them, or even if you have them, I just want to make sure that you're breathing symptom-free, and we're starting to feel like you're getting a bit of work through the quads and the glutes. So thinking about sending the bum back, and then on the way up, push through the heels, and that's going to help you to activate those muscles and get them working. So just keeping breathing. And we often think about breathing out through this phase as you're pushing back up again. But if that feels like it's confusing or overcomplicating it, then don't worry when you breathe. Just make sure you're not holding your breath. And hopefully you're getting a little bit out of breath. That's fine. So a relaxed breath doesn't mean that you're not getting an increased breath rate. We kind of want that to happen right now. Let's go for 2 more. And last one. Keep those shoulders down into the back pockets. Great. So now we're going to do some stepping forward lunges. You can drop the hands down by your sides, and you're going to just step forward. Think of this back knee dropping down towards the floor. Push through the front heel and step back again. So stepping forward, push through the heel. Now, if there's any symptoms as you do that, then you can make it a static lunge, or drop the weights as well. So you could just drop the knee down, push back up. Drop the knee down and push back up, rather than stepping in and out of it. If that is still symptomatic, make it smaller. You don't need to go out so far. You can make your steps smaller, so your foot isn't as far in front. Don't use any weights, and see, can you find a way of doing it symptom-free? So if you're able to, then we're carrying on like this. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit out of breath like I am. And just think about trying to keep those hips level, shoulder blades in the back pockets, and your peach. Let's switch to the other side. Really good. Hope you got your windows open. It's getting a little bit warm in with all this lovely sunshine. Really good. So stepping forward, whatever version is right for you, make sure you're modifying it if you need. So pushing through that front heel to send you back again. Great work. We're nearly there. You can do it. And 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Really good. Great. So now we're going to do the same thing, but this time stepping backwards. So I'm going to go sideways. I think I'm better in shot. So same things. If you want to use weights, do. If you don't, leave them out. And we're just going to step back into that lunge position and then push back up again. So stepping back, drop the knee down and push back up. Remember, you can make that smaller. You don't have to go so low. You don't have to step so far. Just keep it within the range that feels pain-free, symptom-free, and able to breathe. So thinking about your peach, your shoulder blades into the back pockets, your hips are level, shoulders are stacked over the hips. Really great. We're going to go for 3 more. 2 more. Great, and last one. Well done. Now let's go for the other side. So stepping back and back up. And remember, it might not feel the same on both sides. Maybe one side is stronger than the other. So you may find you can do less on the side or more. Just listen to your body and modify as you need to. Keeping breathing. You can do it. We're nearly there. And then we're going to go down onto the mats. Really great. Keep breathing. Think about pushing through the heel. 2 more. And last one. Well done. Okay. So now we're going to go down onto the floor, onto our mats. We can set the weights. So now we're going to come down onto the floor. If you have a mat or a soft surface that you can use, that's great. If you don't have anything specific, it doesn't matter. Just a towel would do, or maybe even just your carpet is fine. If you want to use a little pillow or a cushion under your head, just make sure it's not pushing you forward too much, but you can just feel like your neck is long and relaxed is what you're looking for. So let's just start feet hip distance apart and just relaxing down onto the mat. And as we did in standing, we want to start by making sure that there's no tension anywhere. Think of your head, neck and shoulders all melting down into the floor. Same through the hips. And checking in with your breath. So if you like, you can put your hands on the side of your ribs. And just notice is there expansion up out into the ribs as you breathe in. And relaxing down as you breathe out. And just check if you don't feel like there's much movement there. Can I relax my abdominals? Can I relax my shoulders a little bit more? And will that help improve that movement of the rib cage and the diaphragm? So when you've got that nice relaxed breath, let's think about lengthening the back of the neck so you're holding your peach. Shoulder blades are sliding down into the back pockets. Ribs are melting down soft towards the abdominals. Let's tilt the pelvis forward and back like we did in standing and find that neutral middle position so you're not tilted back, you're not tilted forwards, you're just nice and neutral in center. And we're going to do our hip twist exercise from this position. So if you want to imagine a tray of marbles balanced on your lower tummy and you just don't want to let any of them move, you don't want them to roll side to side or front to back, you just want to keep them nice and still. So take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, let one knee drop out to the side. And then breathe in as you come back. And then the same thing with the other leg. Breathe out as it comes out to the side. Breathe in as it comes back. And it's probably quite a small range of movement. So if you find that your knee is coming all the way out here, then just check. Am I really keeping everything still around the pelvis? Or is that other hip kind of lifting off the floor as my knee comes out to the side? Am I rolling my pelvis that way as well? So most likely you're only going to have a small range of movement that you can control before you start to get that tilting. And the reason I want you to notice that is because that's how we're getting these core muscles working. So if you're keeping your pelvis still as the knee goes out to the side, then those core muscles are having to work to stabilize you there. So just remember, keep breathing. Breathe out as you come to the side, breathe in as you come back. Breathe out as you open out, breathe in as you return. And let's just check how you relax through the head, neck and shoulders, holding your peach. And the other thing to check is that stabilizing still leg should really be stable and still. You want it to stay pointing to the ceiling. What might happen is as you open the moving leg, the other leg will want to go the other way because it will give you a bit of counterbalance. It's a little bit of a cheat. So just try to make sure that the not moving leg really doesn't move. Let's work one more repetition each side. And really just check the head, neck and shoulders. Lovely. Well done. Okay, so if you need to, hug your knees up to your chest or stretch out, do. And if you feel the need to do that, even without me telling you, remember, just stop at any point. Listen to your body, work within your endurance and fatigue levels, listening to any symptoms that you have. So when you're ready, come back to the same start position, and we're going to do scissors. Again, visualizing that tray of marbles on your lower tummy can be really helpful. We don't want to let any of them move. And also just making sure your back doesn't flatten or arch away. So nothing's moving around the back or the trunk. We're going to breathe in to prepare. And as you breathe out, lift the heel, float the leg up into single tabletop, and then breathe in as you float back down again. Same thing on the other side. So lift the heel, float your leg up, and breathe in, float down. So we're just alternating side to side, thinking about keeping the pelvis and the trunk nice and still, and also just checking the head, neck and shoulders. Isn't it so easy for the tension to creep in up there, especially if you're getting tired? So just keep on checking. Can I relax the head, neck and shoulders? Thinking of words like melting, sinking down into the floor really helps. Just visualize that. So it's these lower tummy muscles where you're going to feel the real work happening. And just watching out for any breath holding. So you might find if it feels really effortful to get that leg up, that you want to hold your breath. That's not going to help. It's actually going to hinder, even though it's a really common thing that we do when we are doing something difficult. It's actually not going to make it easier. So breathing out as you lift up just helps guard against that. One more time each side. Just thinking about that peach. Shoulder blades down, ribs soft. So now we're going to try a little progression. If this progression doesn't suit you, then you can carry on with another set like that, or just take a rest and stretch out, whatever you're feeling is right for you right now. So to progress it, we're going to float the leg up, and then to see, can you lift the other heel? Maybe even go up onto the toes, and then back down, and then float that leg down again. And then the same thing with the other leg, floating the leg up, lift the heel, maybe onto the toes, maybe not. Just what do you feel like you can control, so that you're not moving your tray of marbles, you're not bracing and kind of holding your breath, and you're not letting your back flatten or arch away. So if any of those things start to happen, or if you feel like there's suddenly a whole lot more tension in the head, neck and shoulders, then this progression is maybe just a bit too hard for you right now. That's okay, we'll get stronger and we'll be able to do it soon, but for now stick with just lifting the leg and floating it back down again. So there's no point in working at a level that's giving you any symptoms, or it's just too difficult. It's not actually going to be helpful for you. Good. One more, I think, is our second side. Lovely, and then floating down. So we've got one more exercise on our back here. We're going to do the one leg stretch. So you can either do, we'll actually do two levels. So one is with the foot on the floor and one is in the air. Let's all start together with the feet on the floor. Find that neutral position, relax the head, neck and shoulders, relaxing the breath. And keeping the tray of marbles still, we're going to stretch the leg out and then back to the start position. And then the same thing on the other leg, stretching the leg out and back to the start position. So we're going to go for 8 repetitions on each side. Keep checking that head, neck and shoulders is nice and relaxed. Got that relaxed quality to your breath. And there's no movement through the pelvis and the trunk, or as little as possible. And if you feel like it's really difficult to stabilize there, as long as you've not been told that inappropriate for you to do pelvic floor strengthening exercises right now. If you know you've got an overactive pelvic floor, then don't do this next part. But if you haven't been told that, then you could bring in your pelvic floor intentionally to increase your stability. So before the next repetition, let's just tighten around the back passage, draw up inside, just gently hold that. You may feel your lower tummy muscles engaging there, and keep that as you slide the leg away and back to the start position. And just see, does that feel like you've got a bit more control of the pelvis and the lower back? So keep that gentle contraction. One more time each side. Great. Lovely. Okay, let's hug the knees up to the chest, stretch out the lower back before we try the next progression. Just turn your head from side to side on the mat in case there's any tension starting to build up in your neck. And when you're ready, come back to that same neutral start position. So we're going to progress that last exercise. If the progression doesn't feel right for you, then just carry on with the exercise that you're doing, keeping the foot on the floor. So if it's feeling all right, we're going to float the leg up into single tabletop, and we're going to work 8 repetitions. Extend the leg out, and then back to your start position. Same kind of aims. We're trying to keep this pretend tray of marbles completely still as you extend the leg out and back in again. Keeping the breath relaxed, head, neck, and shoulders relaxed. And if you're not happy with the leg in the air, you can just work 8 repetitions sliding the same leg in and out along the floor like we were just doing. But instead of alternating legs, you're sticking to the one side. And one more time. So when I'm stretched out, my thighs are side by side. And we're going to float the leg back down again. Same thing on the other side. So we're going to lift the heel, float the leg up, and then stretching your leg out and back. So you might feel there's that tendency for the back to arch away as your leg extends. That's where your core muscles are coming in, giving you that control, not letting the back do that arching. So just keeping the back in the same relationship to the floor, not flattening into the floor, not arching away, keeping the hips level, not letting the marbles tilt, keeping your breath nice and relaxed, shoulder blades into the back pockets, head, neck and shoulders relaxed. And are you still breathing? Let's keep breathing. And 2 more. Last one. Well done. And then floating the leg back down to the floor. Really great. Let's bring the knees and the feet together. Arms out to the side. Let your knees roll to one side, peeling the back off the floor. Turn your head the other way and looking at your hand. Try to keep this shoulder on the floor and your knees together. And your knees just go as far as they can towards the floor. You feel that lovely rotation through the back. But just go within the range that feels right for you. Don't push into anything that doesn't feel good. But you should feel a nice rotation, perhaps into quite a bit of stiffness. And that's fine. Just relaxing into that, breathing. And then coming back to your start position, we'll go the other way. Roll your knees to the side, turn your head away, keep the shoulder on the floor, keep your knees together, and breathing. And you might find your knees don't go all the way to the floor, and that's fine, but try to keep the knees together, shoulder on the floor, and just see how far can I get, so you're increasing the rotation through your spine. Take a deep breath in, relax into it as you breathe out. Great, and coming back together. So now we're going to turn over onto our tummies. So now lying on your tummies, we're going to bring the arms down by the side. Now you may find that you want a little bit of a cushion underneath your forehead, just so that you're not squishing your nose into the floor. But if you feel alright without it, that's fine too. You just want to feel like your neck is relaxed and in a neutral position. So again, like we did in all the other positions, you're going to start by just letting everything relax into the floor and checking in with your breathing. And then we're going to, actually I think I need a little bit of support under my forehead here. So we're just popping a little cushion there. So just under the forehead so the nose isn't squashed. And then I'm going to relax the bum muscles, lengthen the tailbone away. So you can just see that tilting of the pelvis, forward and back, feel like it's lengthening away. So I'm lengthening out this lower back. Shoulder blades, we're going to think about in a second, but to start with, just think of that peach long through the back of your neck, holding your peach between your chin and your chest. Keep the bum muscles relaxed and the tailbone lengthened, and relaxed breathing. So now we're going to slide the shoulder blades down towards the waist, stretch the fingers to the toes, hover the arms off the floor, palms facing the body, and then relax back down again. So again, slide the shoulders down towards the waist, stretch the fingers to the toes, hovering the arms off the floor, palms facing the body, and then lower back down. So let's breathe out as you slide your shoulders down, stretch the fingers to the toes, hover the arms, and relax back down. So breathing out, and breathe in as you relax. Try to keep the bum and the legs nice and relaxed, but the tailbone lengthening away so you're not letting this lower back curve and your tummy stick into the floor. As you lengthen the tailbone away, you're going to feel like there's a little bit of a lift of the lower tummy off the floor so that it's not digging down into the floor. And as you do that, that should mean that there's less pressure on the lower back. If you find that you're still getting some lower back discomfort in this position, then you can just pop a pillow underneath your hips like this. You can still keep the one underneath your forehead as well, and just carry on with the same exercise. See, does that help relieve any tension there? So keep the pillow underneath your hips if that feels right. And we're going to progress this exercise now. So sliding the shoulders down towards the waist, stretching the fingers to the toes, hover the arms, and at the same time hover the breastbone so the head and neck lift with you, and then lower back down again. So I'm still thinking about keeping my peach between my chin and my chest, so I'm not lifting the head up off the floor like this. I'm still keeping that length through the back of the neck, and lower back down. So again, slide the shoulders down, stretch the fingers to the toes, hover the breastbone. Think about keeping your peach between your chin and your chest. So you should be feeling this around the shoulder blades. That's where you're feeling the work. Keep the bum relaxed, lengthen the tailbone away, so there shouldn't be pressure in the lower back. And again, sliding the shoulders down, stretch the fingers to the toes, hovering up and hovering down. Really good work. Okay, we're going to progress a little bit more by bringing the arms up so that the palms are kind of either side of the head. The elbows are just a little bit lower than shoulder height, and the elbows are bent to 90 degrees. Same starting position, so bum relaxed, lengthen the tailbone away, and slide the shoulders down towards the waist. We're going to hover the arms off the floor, and then lower back down again. So make sure you always start by sliding the shoulders down towards the waist into the opposite back pockets, and then hover the arms off the floor and lower back down. So you can still have that pillow under your hips if that feels better for you. If there's any lower back discomfort, you can have more than one. And if you still find that there's discomfort there, then maybe don't work on your tummy at the moment. But it's always worth checking, if you are getting low back discomfort, that your bum muscles are relaxed and that the tailbone is lengthened away. So if you visualize someone's got an elastic attached to your pubic bone, drawing it up towards your tummy button, and as they do that, it lengthens the tailbone away. You feel your lower tummy muscles engaging to give you that position, but the bum stays relaxed. And if you just check in with those cues, that often sorts out any lower back discomfort. So just keep checking with that. Slide the shoulders down, hover the arms off the floor, and then lower back down. And we can progress this the same way as the other exercise. We're going to add in hovering the head, neck, and shoulders. So sliding the shoulders down, hover the arms, hover from the breastbone, and lower back down. And again, slide the shoulders down, hover the arms up, and hover the breastbone. Now, if with this progression you now are finding that your bum is really engaging or your legs are lifting as you lift the upper body, then don't add that part in. Just keep the head on the floor, slide the shoulders down, hover the arms, and lower back down. So just work the level that's right for you. Keep the bum and the legs relaxed. Slide the shoulders down, hover the arms. If it's all right, then hover from the breastbone as well. And lower back down. And just remember, maybe you felt okay in this position to start with, and now you're starting to fatigue. Maybe you've done enough, and that's fine. So work at the level that's right for you. If you're able to, then carry on just 2 more repetitions. And last one, sliding the shoulders down, hover the arms, hover from the breastbone. Great, really great job. Let's sit back into a prayer stretch now. Just stretch out the upper back so you can have your knees wide as the mat or wider than your hips, or just in line with your hips, whichever feels better for you. Stretching your arms out straight in front, let your head rest onto the floor. Think about your bum sinking down onto your heels. Take a breath in and think about the sitting bones spreading wide, relaxing the pelvic floor. And as you breathe out, think of sinking the breastbone down towards the floor. So you really feel that stretch through the arms, through the upper back. Let's just take a few breath cycles in this position. And you might find that it feels good just to walk the hands round to the side, keeping your body between your hands. Go as far as you can so you feel this stretch down the opposite side, and take a breath in here. Relax into it as you breathe out. And then let's go the other way around. One more breath. Great, and walking the hands back around. So we're going to come back onto our tummies for one more set of exercises. Remember, you still have that pillow under your hips if that feels right. This time the arms are going to be shoulder width apart and straight out in front of you. Legs are hip distance apart. Bum muscles relaxed to start with. So think of lengthening that tailbone away, keeping the bum relaxed. You can feel the lower tummy muscles are what's doing that. And then we're going to slide the shoulders down towards the back pockets. Lengthen the back of the neck, holding your peach. And now we are going to engage the buttocks, just gently drawing the sit bones towards each other. So now we can lengthen that left leg away to hover slightly off the floor and lower down. And then the same thing on the other leg, lengthened away, hover off the floor and lower down. And we're alternating legs, lengthen the leg away, hover off the floor, lower down. I want you to think about a tray of drinks balanced on this lower back that you don't want to spill. So as you're lengthening and hovering, you try not to let the hips rock from side to side. Nothing should change in the pelvis and the lower back. So squeezing the buttocks gently, lengthen the leg away to hover. It's not going to be very big, it doesn't need to be very high. It's just an inch or so off the floor. We're trying to engage the glutes here, so it doesn't need to be very high. Keeping breathing the whole time. Think about those shoulder blades sliding into the back pockets. And see if you can avoid letting the ribs press into the floor as you hover the legs up. So think about softening the ribs towards the waist, so that as you lengthen the leg and hover, you're not feeling them dig into the floor anymore. There's a little bit of a softness and a lift of the ribs from the floor. That's quite hard work to maintain, so don't worry if it feels like a real challenge. Just make sure you're symptom-free and able to breathe. One more time each side. And one more. Really good. Well done. So now we're doing the same thing, but this time with the arms. So the bum is relaxed again. Lengthen the tailbone away to soften out the lower back. Shoulder blades into the back pockets. Peach between your chin and your chest. And we're going to hover the arm off the floor and lower down. Same thing on the other side. Hover the arm and lower. Hover the arm and lower. So think about that tray of drinks is balanced maybe on your upper back this time. So we don't want any rocking of the trunk on the floor. As you lift your arm, nothing changes apart from that arm lifting. And one thing you can kind of watch out for is that feeling of the ribs digging into the floor. If you feel like they're digging further into the floor as you lift your arm, then just see, can I soften my ribs down towards my abdominals? And you don't need to lift this arm very high, it's just an inch or so off the floor. And one more time, each side. Keeping those shoulder blades down into the back pockets. Great, well done. So now we're going to put those two together. If it feels too much when you add them together, then you can either do just the arms or just the legs, or you can just take a rest and stretch it out, whatever feels right. So if you're able for it, then we're going to add them together, lengthen the tailbone away, shoulder blades in the back pockets, holding your peach. We're going to gently squeeze the buttocks, drawing the sitting bones towards each other, and then lengthen the left leg, hover the right arm, and lower. Now lengthen the right leg, hover the left arm, and lower. So alternating sides, opposite arm and leg. Let's keep breathing. I know we're tired. Keep breathing. And opposite side. See, can you keep those ribs soft? Tailbone lengthened away. So you can feel that core is having to work to give you stability. And I'm sure you can feel it around those shoulder blades. I know I can. And that's really great because it's helping us open out those shoulders, give us strength to avoid that round shoulder position in standing. Give us lots of strength around the shoulders. Great. Nearly there. Got one more on each side after this last set. Shoulder blades into the back pockets. Really good. Well done, you've done it. Let's just stretch out. If you want to come up into a cat stretch to finish. So all fours, we're going to tuck the tailbone under, push the floor away, drop the chin to the chest, and stretch out. Lengthen the tailbone away, slide the shoulders down, look up towards the ceiling, and then reverse it. Just a few repetitions, stretching out that back. Great. Well done. So you can finish off with Joe's cool down and to cool down and to stretch out. Really great work. Well done.